All right, today we're going to be going over the Hank concept, kind of what some of the coverages that we want to attack with this concept is, and also some of the coverages that we want to be watching out for whenever we get this concept against that, right? All right, so for those of you that do not know, a Hank concept is really just a curl to 15 yards and then also a flat underneath, right? It can be run at a 3x1 or 2x2, right? In this video, we're going to just be going over kind of the 2x2 concept, but you can see a lot of different ways you can run this out of different formations, but 2x2 is what we're going to be covering in this episode today, right? So getting into it, let's go ahead and add a defense behind this. The ideal coverage that we would like to get out of this is any type of a corner off, right? And especially any type of a middle closed corner off, right? What we're thinking whenever we get a corner off is that we're going to get some type of a release and threaten this corner deep so that he's not able to come back underneath and undercut this hook, right? We're kind of assuming that we're going to get some type of a free access with this number one, and this corner is really going to be out of the picture reading this concept, right? What we're really going to be reading on this concept is whoever that curl flat defender is. In this case, this star right here, okay? So let's go ahead and watch this play out, and we're going to be reading this curl flat defender, right? If this curl flat defender takes this flat right here, we're just going to go ahead and replace this with this hook right here. It's going to open up that window right here, right? Let's see that play one more time. If he's going to widen, we're going to take that hook, and that window is going to be right there, okay? Now, if this curl flat defender kind of sees this number one vertical, thinks that he's more of a threat, starts falling off, we can go ahead and hit that flat route right here. He'll be able to turn this up and get some decent yardage out of that as well, right? But really, this is designed. We're hoping that the flat is going to be taking this flat defender, and we're going to be able to replace him with this curl right behind him, right? What we need to be watching out for on this concept, even in this good coverage that we're going to get against this, right? Is whoever this next defender inside is, really this hook defender, right? Let's go ahead and read this to the boundary really quickly, okay? If this safety takes him, we're going to be reading this next guy over, right? And feeling him to make sure that he's not going to be pushing too hard to take away this curl coming right behind it, okay? So let's see this play out right here. If this Mike gets a pass read and he starts pushing over right now, we're going to have to replace back down to the check down right here, okay? So really the read for this for the quarterback is going to go 1A to 1B being your flat route off of that curl flat defender. If he sees that next hook defender start pushing hard to that side, then we got to start replacing to the check down right away, right? But if this guy doesn't push hard, that should leave us a 2-on-1, kind of a high-low over here to whoever that player is on either side, right, to be able to replace him and get some type of a 2-on-1 on that flat defender, okay? Now, obviously, with that, you can kind of imagine whenever we get some type of a man-to-man, if it's middle closed, probably not going to be the best concept against that, right? Unless that this guy can win purely on a straight man-to-man one-on-one with this corner, which is very possible, right, depending on who the personnel is. We are going to get some type of a sticky coverage kind of on this, and this flat is going to be taken away by whoever that flat defender is, right? So man-to-man middle closed with this, probably not going to be the best concept to read against. However, you can definitely still win outside on this curl route if this guy can shake him up at the top of his route, okay? So that's cover 1 and cover 3 out of your middle closed, right? Now, getting into kind of your two high looks, let's go ahead with an over 4 look real quick, okay? Definitely comes a little bit sketchy with this safety and whoever that quarters defender is to that side, right? Let's assume that we still get some type of a corner off look right here, okay? And we're able to read this guy, and this guy's out of the picture, right? The problem with this against any type of a corner off but quarters look is this safety really doesn't have anything threatening him deep, right? So let's reset this. This curl flat defender is going to be taking this guy, right? But this safety, once 2 is out, really doesn't have anything threatening him vertically. So he can really undercut this to that side, right? He's seeing 2 out right now. He's going to start pushing to get underneath number 1. So really in a quarters concept, not my favorite concept against quarters, right? We can even see it to the boundary. In this scenario, your backer type would be your flat defender, and your corner would be out of the picture, right? But it still leaves us with this safety who's able to kind of play 2 from depth, but also kind of get under number 1 at the same time with this, right? So he's seeing 2 out. He's starting to get underneath that. So really, in terms of quarters, out of 2x2 especially, definitely not my favorite concept. Now, getting into our cover 2, okay? This is also probably not going to be the best concept against that, but you can definitely still make it work depending on how it plays out, right? So in your cover 2, obviously your safeties are really going to be out of the picture. They're going to be getting depth right now, right? So let's go ahead and draw up this Hank real quick. These safeties are going to be out of the picture, right? However, these corners are really going to be sitting and kind of playing anything from midline, right? If they get any type of a flat, 9 times out of 10, especially at the higher levels, these guys are not going to be jumping flat routes right away, okay? These guys are going to be kind of getting depth and able to fall off on this hook defender, right? Especially if it was Tampa 2, right? These hook defenders, you could often see them kind of pushing right here. And what you don't want to have is this corner being able to play both your curl route and your flat route by himself, right? So if you can see this, your curl or your curl flat defender being your star right here, he's going to be kind of pushing right here, and whether or not he takes him to the flat is really going to determine what this read is, right? You can see this play out in a couple of different ways. This guy could take him to the flat. This corner could start falling off to come out underneath that hook. You could see this corner come in and take that flat right away, and this hook defender kind of seeing this and then starting to drop into here, right? You really just have to be really cognizant of what these 2 underneath defenders to that side are doing in your cover 2, right? If we're going to see this play out right here, this is probably the likely scenario you're going to get, right? So really not a clean concept against cover 2 out of 2x2 Hank. So that's your cover 2, right? Not my favorite concept to that, okay? All right, so those are really the main coverages that you're going to be able to see. Obviously, there's a bunch of different variations of every coverage that could be played out, right? But really, what we're looking for whenever we call this Hank concept is to get some type of middle closed, kind of corner off, cover 3 type of a look, right? Like I said, we're going to be reading that outside flat defender to get kind of a 2-on-1 on that guy. And the next problem defender in this look is really going to be that hook player. If he pushes hard, we'll just replace back down to the check down underneath, right? But really, like I said, not my favorite concept against most 2 high looks, whether that be your quarters, your cover 2, right? Which is why in most scenarios I would really like to be able to pair some type of a 2 high beater on the backside, whether that be a smash, right? A knife, something underneath, right? To isolate that hook defender inside. But really, I am a fan of pairing Hank, especially at a 2x2, with a different concept backside to be able to take advantage of whatever coverage you're going to be able to see. But if you are going to go ahead and run that Hank at a 2x2, definitely the most ideal coverage you're going to get out of this is going to be your cover 3 off corner kind of a look. All right. So that's your Hank concept out of 2x2. And how that can play out against different types of coverages, kind of what you want to see and how that'll play out, right? So that's it for this video. If you get a chance, feel free to check us out at footballu.com to be able to turn your playbook into an interactive video game for your players. Once you have a practice script, you can quickly assign that to players to rep from their own accounts, whether it be from the mobile app or computer, or you can just go into the whiteboard and teach players and see plays visualized out in real time, right? So footballu.com. Feel free to check us out whenever you get a chance. Thanks.